Liguria is a boomerang-shaped region that borders France to the west and Tuscany to the east. Beginning from the east, the Cinque Terre are Riomaggiore, Manarola, Vernazza, then comes Corniglia, and finally Monterosso a Mare, which is at the westernmost end of Le Cinque Terre. Cinque Terre means 5 lands.
Right.
And it really was probably 5 feudal holdings that were surrounded by land in the medieval times, and now they've become villages. There was really no way for cars to go between them because of the steep terrain. It's just basically vertical cliffs that plunge from heights all the way down to the sea.
The rocky coast is so typical of Liguria, isn't it? So dramatic.
All these towns are a walking place. And so if you walk through the towns, they're very steep, and you get to the water after passing by the homes that seem to be clinging to the sides of the hill, really. And when you get to the water, the boats are there, but many times you wonder how the boats are launched. I think Corniglia has cranes that lift the boat into the water.
And Vernazza apparently has the only natural harbor in the Cinque Terre. So in the Middle Ages, it was one of the wealthiest of towns because there was so much trading, so many boats coming in. The Cinque Terre, the 5 medieval towns, are all connected by train. Apparently the oldest train was built back in 1874. It was the original link between Genoa and Rome. And then a second line was added in the 1920s. And that's when, apparently, the trail was made to connect Riomaggiore and Manarola.
And the train today actually connects major parts of the world. So it goes from France all the way down to Sicily. So it connects the Cinque Terre to the rest of Italy and the rest of Europe.
All of the 5 towns are connected by the Via dell'Amore, which means the Street of Love.
Yes.
And that's, how long is that?
I think that's only about 7 miles long, but you can walk it in about 4 hours, and that's what people do. They've completely repaved it now. It used to just be a footpath that was used to connect the 5 towns. I remember walking it years ago, and it was just a dirt trail that you would, and it was very steep, and it was actually dangerous because you had to go up and down, and sometimes you had to sort of almost get on your knees to be able to continue walking down the path. It's a wide path. It's about 5 or 6 feet wide, and it has stonework, and they put plants in there. It was not at all like that. It was just a dirt trail for the fishermen and basically the farmers to go between towns. Along the Cinque Terre are also some, interesting features.
Like there are these tunnels, they're about, 600 feet long, and apparently during World War II, these served as bomb shelters for residents.
As you walk along Via dell'Amore, you look down and you see the water, but you look up and you see the hill that's full of terracing. And you can see how some of these walls are very old. In fact, they were made hundreds of years ago.
The amount of stonework and drywalls in the Cinque Terre is remarkable. I've heard that there's more than 4,000 miles worth of these drywall terraces.
They actually are necessary to provide soil for the growth of wine. And I guess the soil there has been determined to be ideal for Cinque Terre production, which is the sweet wine. Through the centuries, I think people were living off the land, but lately they've been abandoning the land because of the lack of profitable work for the farmers. And the national park came along a few years ago and refurbished these terraces. They replant the vines, they trim them, and they prepare them for production.
National parks in Italy, unlike the ones I'm familiar with in the United States, produce specialty foods. They actually harvest different products. They have the anchovy sauce, they have pesto, Cinque Terre wine, and then of course they sell the trofie pasta, which is served with pesto. And the national park helps these small producers to thrive.
So they provide legal protection, marketing, technical support, and points of sale.
And what's remarkable is that despite the steep, rocky terrain where they harvest these grapes, they've managed to install a monorail system to transport the grapes up and down the hillside.
Right, otherwise it would be impossible to actually sufficiently carry the grapes on the vertical slopes.
A great example of the local production that the park is encouraging is seen in this laboratory located above Rio Maggiore.
Oggi quindi abbiamo visto la produzione della pasta d'acciughe.
Esatto, qua al laboratorio facciamo tutta una gamma di prodotti. Oggi abbiamo fatto la salsa di acciughe, è fatta con le acciughe di Monterosso, le famose acciughe di Monterosso, che vengono lavorate insieme a altri ingredienti freschi.
Okay, so today they prepared anchovy paste, which is made with anchovies that were fished in Monterosso a Mare, which is one of the villages along the coast here. And those were fresh anchovies that were used.
È una salsa fatta con acciughe, erbe aromatiche, pinoli, mandorle e olio extravergine di oliva.
So it's made with anchovies, aromatic herbs. So the herbs are basil, parsley, thyme,
Esatto.
garlic,
Esatto.
Extra virgin olive oil. Pine nuts,
Mandorle,
almonds,
capperi,
capers. So the sauces are all made with fresh ingredients. So all these ingredients are introduced into put in the blender. The blender is actually it's vacuumed so that the product isn't oxidized. So after blending all these ingredients, they then put it in the jarring machine. And then they jar the product by hand. They then pasteurize the product. So they pasteurize it by heating it without boiling it. It's heated with steam. So that doesn't actually alter the product, and the pasteurization kills bacteria.